Tanjiro travels to a village of swordsmiths to get his sword fixed after it was badly damaged. In the middle of a massive wreckage, Tanjiro is lying unconscious while shielding Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Nezuko, who have also passed out. Kagaya, the leader of the Hashiras, is pleased to find out that an upper-rank demon is defeated by the Demon Corps, and believes that they have a better chance of finally defeating Muzan Kibutsuji. Meanwhile, at the Infinity Castle, Muzan summons the upper-rank demons. Gyoko, the upper-rank 5, emerges from a pot. Then the upper-rank 4, named Hantegu, also comes out to reunite with Akaza, who is the upper-rank 3 demon. The upper-rank 2 and 1, named Doma and Kokushibo, are also summoned as per Muzan's request. Shortly, Muzan arrives and informs them that the upper-rank 6, named Gyutaro, has been killed. He expresses his anger and disappointment with the upper-rank demons, berating them for not yet dealing with Kagaya and Blue Lily. Gyoko claims that he has information for Muzan, but the Master Demon is not in the mood for any falsehood, so he sends Gyoko and Hantego to go and verify the news. After he leaves, Akaza, who doesn't like Doma very much, gets into a scuffle with him, but Kokushibo intervenes and scolds him for disrespecting his senior. He suggests that he officially challenge Doma for a promotion if he is not satisfied with his rank. Enraged by this, Akaza promises to kill Kokushibo. Elsewhere, a man named Sumiyoshi that looks just like Tanjiro is hosting a purple-haired man who is babysitting his child while his wife sleeps. Sumiyoshi thanks the guest for saving his life and offers to bear his surname, but the man claims that he could not save anything dear to him, so there's no need to pass on his name. Tanjiro, who's been in a coma since his battle with Gyutaro and Daki, finally wakes up from the dream in tears after witnessing the sadness of the guest. Kaneo sees that he's awake and informs him that he's been out for about 2 months. A man named Goto, who found Tanjiro unconscious, arrives with Castella, hoping the scent would wake Tanjiro up. However, he finds him awake already, and they all proceed to brief him on how the others are doing and all that he missed while he was in a coma. A week later, Tanjiro is up on his feet, and Inosuke goes out on a mission. He starts his recovery training and asks if his sword has been repaired after it was chipped in battle, but he only receives letters from the swordsmith, Haganazuka, saying he has no swords for him, along with some other spiteful messages for Tanjiro. Kaio suggests that he goes to the swordsmith village to see Haganazuka in person. He's granted permission and is carried by different Kakushis at intervals till he arrives at the hidden village. The love Hashira Mitsuri Kanroji gets to know of his arrival. He meets Techin, the chief of the village, who tells him that Haganazuka is missing and implores him to enjoy his stay until he is found. Tanjiro goes to the hot springs where he meets Genya, the brother of the wind Hashira, who doesn't like him very much. Later that night, Tanjiro has dinner with Mitsuri, who tells him that she became a Hashira so she could marry one. She's informed that her sword is ready, and so she bids Tanjiro farewell, but not before telling him of a secret weapon hidden in the village that would make him stronger. The next morning, Tanjiro heads out in search of the weapon and comes across the mist Hashira, Takito, trying to take a key from a young boy. When the boy continues to resist, Tanjiro intervenes but quickly gets knocked out by Takito. The boy escapes Takito's grip and insists that even torture wouldn't make him give up the key. As Tanjiro continues to convince Takito otherwise, a swordsmith watches from the bushes. Eventually, Tokito gets fed up and knocks Tanjiro out cold. He wakes up when he hears the familiar voice of Haganazuka talking to the boy, but when he fully retains consciousness and asks the boy, he lies, saying it was the swordsmith. Tanjiro also finds out that the boy named Kotetsu also gave up the key, but still receives thanks from the boy for his attempt to help. When Tanjiro asks why Tokito wanted the key, the boy tells him that it activates a mechanical doll that can perform a combination of 108 moves. Suddenly, they hear a sword battle and find Tokito fighting with the 6-armed doll, and Tanjiro is astonished that it can take on a Hashira. The boy reveals that the doll was created by his ancestors, called Yoraichi Type 0, and modeled after a real swordsman. Soon, Tanjiro recognizes the doll's face as the guest in his dream. Kotetsu fears that Tokito would damage the doll, and soon enough they find it defeated and missing an arm. Tanjiro consoles Kotetsu, and the little boy suggests that he train with the doll so that he can defeat Tokito. The training commences shortly, and Tanjiro is still getting beaten by the doll even with a missing arm. After several days, he's able to use his nose to see incoming attacks from the doll, and as a result is finally able to defeat it and begrudgingly decapitates it. Tanjiro and Kotetsu are shocked to find a 300-year-old sword inside the doll. so the boy offers the sword to him since he came to the village in search of a sword, and insists that the steel used to forge the sword is better than any other. After much hesitation, Tanjiro agrees to take out the sword, but is disappointed to see that it's just an old rusty sword. Suddenly, Haganezuka emerges from the bush and offers to take the sword off their hands, but Tanjiro refuses, insisting that it belongs to Kotetsu. Just when Haganezuka grabs it, a man named Kanamori comes out and uses his weakness, which is tickling, to retrieve the sword before apologizing to them. It's discovered that Haganezuka has been hiding from the chief after his swords got broken, and he gives Tanjiro another sword to use while he offers to take the old sword so he can restore it by polishing it. Later that night, Tanjiro contemplates going to see Haganezuka because of how grueling the polishing art is. Tanjiro then tells Nezuko about his thoughts, and she just nods in agreement. Elsewhere, Kanamori finds a mysterious vase, but when he goes to investigate, he's dragged in by upper rank 5 Gyoko and killed. Gyoko plans to kill the demon slayers in the village. Hentegu also arrives and hopes to end things quickly so that Muzan does not get more upset with them. Takito wakes Tanjiro up and asks for Kanamori's whereabouts. He doesn't know but offers to search for him, and Takito is baffled by how selfless he is. Suddenly, Hantego enters the room in tears, and Tanjiro concludes that since he didn't smell him from far away, it must be an upper rank. Tokito immediately charges at the demon with his 4th form of mist breathing. He manages to behead Hentegu, but they're all shocked to see the head grow a body, and the body grow another head, giving them one more demon to fight. The 2 separated demons named Karaku and Sakido, filled with rage, blow Tokito away. Tanjiro returns for another round but is electrocuted. Suddenly, Genya arrives with a gun that smells like a Nishiran sword and shoots Karaku but misses Sakido. He rushes to behead Sakido with his sword, but they just multiply. Suddenly, one of the demons named Urogi grabs Tanjiro by the leg and flies away. He uses Hinokami Kagura to slash the demon's leg to break free, falling into a nearby forest. Elsewhere, Takito sees Kotetsu being attacked by a demon, and when he remembers Tanjiro's selflessness, he decides to kill the demon and help him escape. The demon regenerates instantly, and Takito sees a vase on its back and presumes it must be the source, so he cuts it in half and finally defeats the monster. Kotetsu comes out to thank Takito and tells him that Kanamori was attacked and begs him to save him. Tokito hesitates but eventually carries the boy and runs back to the village to save the others. Meanwhile, Tanjiro fights off other demon clones elsewhere in the forest and soon realizes that the 4 major clones that symbolize sorrow, anger, joy, and pleasure are the strongest, and if split up further, get weaker. Urogi returns and attacks Tanjiro again, slashing him with his sharp talons. Badly injured, he continues to fight the demon and thinks of ways to beat him so he can return to the village to help Nezuko. Meanwhile, back in the village, Nezuko holds her own against a demon, while Genya gets stabbed by a demon named Aizetsu. The demons continuously strike Genya, but he refuses to die. Nezuko manages to defeat her opponent by burning him, and Sakido gets enraged upon seeing this, so he stabs and electrocutes her. Elsewhere, Tanjiro makes a desperate and dicey play by holding onto Urogi so he can fly to the building where Nezuko is. They finally crash into the building with Urogi taking most of the hit. Tanjiro cuts off Urogi's foot and uses it as an insulator to avoid Sakido's electrocution before slashing Sakido's tongue before it takes longer to heal. He freezes Nezuko, who was impaled by Sakido's staff, but soon the demons subdue them again and use the wind to push them to the floor below. After subduing them, the demons decide that it's time to finally conquer the village, and they summon many demon fish to attack the village. The villagers try to defend themselves, but the monsters are too many and too strong for them to handle. Elsewhere in the forest, the insect Hashira named Shinobu is informed that the village is under attack, and she dashes towards it so she can save the villagers. That brings us to the end of today's recap. See you in the next one.